The Bald-Headed Bistro, Western fine dining in the heart of the South. The best bar and happy hour in town. The Bald-Headed Bistro in the Village Green, Cleveland.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Where'd the old town go? They moved it on north of here in the shopping mall.
Good morning and welcome to Old Town Cleveland here on WOOP FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.woopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553. Good morning, Debbie. Tell us what's going on.
Oh, wait a minute. You're supposed to call me lovely. Who was correcting you on it?
Doc
German.
My lovely wife. I used to say it was in my contract, and I got in trouble for saying that. Now it is my privilege to introduce my lovely wife. And see who reminded me of that today. Go ahead, Deb.
We saw Doc. We went down to Couch's Barbecue after we left here the other day, and it was as good as usual. And Doc came up and reminded Ron that he was supposed to say those lovely things about me at the beginning of the show.
We took David Swafford, who was a guest here, who's a graduate from Bradley.
Absolutely.
Had never been to Couches. Lived here his entire life.
You're
had never been to
me.
Couches.
Unbelievable.
Yep. Well, we
That's
saw
sad.
that.
Well, I think he'll be back.
I'm sure he will.
And then let me introduce our guest today. We have with us Johnny Mull. You guys all know Johnny. We're going to be talking about his grandpa, Red Dockery, and his uncle Rex Dockery today. So if you have a good story on either one of those fellas, get ready to call us. But last week after our show on Wild River, which was quite the enjoyable show, and we got lots and lots of good calls, we took David down to Couch's Barbecue, and he took us over to Harrison Bay, to Skull Island, where part of the movie was filmed.
Wow.
Well, we got to stand on the shore and look at it across the water, but it was still pretty exciting to just try to imagine how they picked that spot and how they got it all to work. And it had to be a lot of it had to be really hard to get the materials and stuff there too, although there was a little road into the backside of
They
it.
called it Movie River Road.
Movie River Road, that's what it's still
Is that
called.
right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Off of Highway 58, you turn on Birchwood Pike and go over till you see the sign for the
Skull Island,
for the campgrounds.
How they do that? I've never been there before.
Yeah.
Well, it had
Just
one of the
small.
one of the most interesting cemeteries that I've been to in a long time. When you first drive up, you think it's just 3 or 4 graves inside a fenced in area, but actually it's a. Would you think an acre, Ron? It's a good sized big lot.
Most of the tombstones are gone, and you can walk along and find the indentions of where the graves are sinking in. So it's a very old cemetery.
And it has the ground cover under the leaves that was in those cemeteries. A lot of Norman family members and Eldridge family members, the tombstones that we could read.
And it's
going
sad
back to the
because-
1850s.
Yeah, it's sad because most of the history there is gone. All the tombstones are gone or broken and are faded now. So
That's a shame.
But it was
could
really
be preserved,
interesting. There was at least 3 spots that had the old Victorian iron fences around it, and we went up to the manager's house, and Dave asked permission for us to go inside the campground there so we could drive down and look at Skull Island and then see the cemetery there. And the folks were real nice and allowed us to go in there. And so some folks need to go down and see that. But anyway, we're going to be, we'd like to extend our condolences today to cousin Bob Cash. Lost his mom, Geraldine, this week. And we went by there and checked on Bob, and we hope that that family's doing okay.
Bob and Joey and Sharon, all the kids there, and got to see Mayor Rowland was one of the people who part of the ceremonies of the day.
I have a mystery that I need folks to help me solve. We found I didn't find it, Debbie Riggs found it, an 1879 ad in the Cleveland Daily Banner that said that the Pritchard Mill was being sold. It was on a 320-acre site southeast of the city of Cleveland, 3 miles from the city of Cleveland. And it was at a water source that even in the droughts it had plenty of water. And if anyone knows where that piece of land is, Debbie and I'd like to know.
Where's our buddy Arnold?
Where's Buddy Arnold?
Arnold.
Arnold.
When there's anything about property, all you got to do is ask Arnold.
Well, Arnold can always give you a good idea. And I thought that it might be where Maple's chair factory is. I thought it might be where Big Springs is. That's the two places I would look first.
Okay. Well, we'll have to do that. Johnny, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you, Ron?
Great. I've known your family for a long time. Grew up down the street from your grandfather, Red.
Yes.
Now, John, right?
Yes.
I had to think about that for a long time. I called him Red Dockery for nearly 60 years.
John Henry.
John Henry.
Yes.
Yeah, we lived on Spring Place Road, just a quarter of a mile from him. He lived we lived on the same side of the road. I lived at the corner of Durkee and Spring Place, and he lived back towards APD, what was now APD 40.
Absolutely.
Wasn't it? And of course he come from
Hanging Dog, North Carolina.
Yeah. How did he get here?
Actually, he was there. His dad was what do you call it? Lumberjack.
Uh-huh.
He was a lumberjack and died when he was about 2 in a lumberjack accident. A tree fell on him. So he had his brother, his dad's brother, Virgil, and a couple of other Dockeries lived. Some lived in Polk County. Some lived down here in Bradley County.
Okay.
He split time with both of them. Some in Bradley County, some in Polk County. Out where Dockery subdivision out in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been to it in Polk County, but I don't know if I could get to it.
So is Dockery subdivision that lands out of your family?
That's what I think. I mean, that's what we've been told. I don't remember it's Virgil or the other.
Time to call
brother
Arnold
at the
again.
time, but they
Another
probably
question.
know.
Yeah.
But that's how he got here.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually went to. It's kind of a funny story. He actually played football at Polk County his freshman year in high school, and they beat Bradley that year. I have a football from that year, 1930, whatever,
great.
that has all the names signed on it that he gave me. And then after football season was over, he went back to work on the farm in Polk County and ran across some Bradley people. They asked him to come to Bradley. He moved down here with his other uncle, started his freshman year over at Bradley, and played 4 years at Bradley. So he played 5 years of high school football at Bradley.
I love it.
So,
Somebody
he
online
was quite an athlete himself, wasn't he?
Tremendous athlete.
Did he play all the sports? Or
Football,
something?
baseball, and basketball.
Yeah.
He was actually all state and I believe all 3 sports. I know in baseball and football he was
So
all state.
what years do you think he was at Bradley?
Oh gosh.
40s?
No, it was in the 30s. It was when he died, he was 95, and that was last year.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do the math,
Okay, I'll do the math while y'all talk.
Yeah. He, of course, Red was till the very end was still coming to the football game.
He did.
Your dad brought him there, and Red. As you get 95, you're not as sharp as you used to be, but he still was there every day, wrapped in that blanket in his wheelchair, watching the football game.
He wanted to be there. He wanted to be there and the basketball games. He did quite a bit, and Turner Jackson and the folks at Bradley High School were just really great. They kind of saved him a spot in a way or whatever, and would make comments about the oldest Bradley Bears here tonight when he would come, and meant a lot to our family, meant a lot to him.
Yes.
I'm thinking mid-30s. We'll
I
have
think
to
that's right.
check some of the yearbooks and see if we can find some pictures.
Well, that's why he probably played for Jimmy Lovell then.
He did.
Arnold,
he sure did.
Arnold has signed on to the chat room and says, "Okay, I heard my name."
Yeah, we've got 2 or 3 assignments for you, Arnold. We'll write them down and send them over to you. Now, your uncle Rex Dockery. I never knew Rex. I of course, knew the name constantly. Right. There's an award at Bradley High School called the Rex Dockery Award. Tell everybody what that is.
Well, the Rex Dockery Award was created in 1984, actually, after the death of Rex, Coach Dockery, after he had died at Memphis State at the time. In honor of him, that best exemplifies the characteristics of Rex Dockery, which are they're long. Great teammate, work ethic, enthusiasm, good grades, good citizen. All the things any coach or any person will look for in somebody
Now,
that was named after him.
it's for the athlete at Bradley High School, not just football. Is that am I correct?
No, it is for football.
It is just for football. Okay.
And then there's the Rex Dockery Scholarship that actually covers Bradley, Walker Valley, and Cleveland that senior athletes can apply for, and it goes through a process, and the scholarship's given every year to an individual from there.
Okay, let's for the people who don't know who Rick Dockery is, and I know there's a lot of people know who he is, or at least they've heard the name. Tell us where he went to grammar school, and do you know all that about him?
Golly bum, I know there was Big Spring. I don't know all the things. Big Springs was he went there. I know that.
Well,
went
that
to
been
Arnold.
right up from his house.
Went to Arnold. Mm-hmm. I went to Arnold and played ball there, and then obviously went to Bradley. Graduated in 1960 from Bradley. Was an all-state offensive lineman, a guard at Bradley High School. Then played with Steve Sloan and some of those guys at the time. Louis Alford and some my dad. Bug White and some of those guys.
Snyder, I think Charlie
Snyder. Yeah, Charlie Snyder played. Buddy Rogers.
I can see Harmon.
Yes, I think he played.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't remember. I can't remember.
Now,
anyway.
60 was the year they won the Triple Crown?
No,
62.
62.
Okay.
62 the year they won. Rex was already gone the year they won that. Because Coach Sloan was 2 years behind Rex. But he was an all-state guard there and signed a scholarship at University of Tennessee and went up to Tennessee and played
Bob
there.
Johnson was a freshman with Rex?
Yes, absolutely. Bob Johnson.
And K. Wood?
David K. Wood.
And probably Ballinger.
Andy Ballinger. I believe Andy may have played at Auburn. Is that right?
I don't know where Andy played, but he was a great running back for Bradley. He was senior 64, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Yeah. And they're just great names in the history of Bradley County come through that time period there.
Absolutely.
And now he went on to UT. Who was the coach at UT at that time? Do you remember?
Oh, gosh. I should have done my homework a little bit before I left. I can't remember. They weren't very good at the time. I remember that, hearing about that because they were still stuck.
Well, at some point in time, he was assistant to Bill Battle.
Oh, yes.
And he actually coached Phil
Foreman.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, but I'm
trying to type about acreage.
They were a single wing, still stuck in a single wing when other people had changed.
Right.
And,
he played guard there?
Yes, he did. He played guard there at Tennessee.
Now, when he left there, I know he coached some high school football, or did he stay there at UT as an assistant coach?
He stayed there initially as a graduate assistant, a GA, his first year. And then, this is kind of something that a lot of people don't know, he came back here and actually worked for like a half a year at North Lee Elementary School.
So was his degree in education?
His degree was in education.
Okay. I never know what his degree is. Okay.
He worked at North Lee as an elementary teacher and was looking to coach here.
Yeah.
He actually interviewed for an assistant job at Bradley and didn't get it, believe it or not, and went on to
Harriman.
And actually was head coach at Harriman was his first high school coaching job.
Mm-hmm. I think they had a pretty good year, didn't they?
Yeah, they were like 8-2, 7-3, 8-2 first year, hadn't won in a while.
Yeah.
So he went there, and then after that, he went to Morristown East for 2 years, and won a state championship there in 1969.
Wow. So now, when did he break into the college ranks?
The following year, 1970, he went back to Tennessee under Coach Bill Battle, and was at Tennessee 70 and 71, I believe. I believe he was there 2 years, and that's where he coached Coach Fulmer. I got an interesting story there. Kevin Raper, Kevin Raper,
yes.
who's coached in the Walker Valley and Bradley.
Unfortunately, I know Kevin Raper.
Who turned 50 yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It's
all downhill now. And that's not a slope, it's a cliff. I want to tell you, Ken.
Oh, goodness. Anyway, we went up to watch Tennessee practice when Peyton was playing up there. Mm-hmm. And it was a bowl game practice. And I'd never met Coach Fulmer and Peyton or any of those people, but we watched them practice. And Kevin used to be a football manager there when he was in college. Mm-hmm. So, they let him in and stuff. So we're there and watching practice and stuff. And after it, I got to meet Peyton and whatever. Peyton just, he was very friendly and cordial, but, he's moving on. Practice was over. Walked up to Coach Fulmer, and he said, Coach Fulmer, they talking, they know each other. He said, I want you to meet a friend of mine. And he said, okay. He said, we coached together at Bradley High School. His name's Johnny Mull, and he shook my hand. He said, I think you may have known his uncle. He said, well, who was your uncle? I said, well, it was Rex Dockery. Well, he had a hat on. He took his hat off, and he grabbed my hand. He said, let me tell you something. He said, Coach Dockery is one of the most influential people to me ever.
That's great.
He said he coached me when I was here. He said, I want to tell you something. If he was still alive today, he would be the head coach of the University of Tennessee, not Philip Fulmer. And he said, if you ever need anything whatsoever, tickets, whatever, you holler at me, and I'll make sure I'll take care of you. So obviously he had a big impact on Coach Fulmer's life.
I think he did on a lot of people, and the people I've talked to around town, when we started mentioning that Rex was going to be here, people saying is about, I went to school with him, he was a great person, great citizen type thing, and just the things that you know about him, it was just great. And now, what happened to his sister?
Well, she got caught up with Bill Mull,
That's
and her life was never the same.
You're from
my
a fine
mom,
family.
Pam Dockery Mull, who many of you probably know from when she was worked at the courthouse for so long in the trustee's office, and then was circuit court clerk for 16 years. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I just had to. I just had to mention.
They're
Pam.
probably listening right now.
Well, that's why I did it.
They're probably laughing about that.
Yeah. So now was it just Red, Rex, and Pam?
Yes, they were the only two kids. Yes.
Now, did they grow up out on Spring Place?
Yes,
were
they
there
did.
Too?
They sure
well,
did.
See, now they're both older than I would have been.
Actually, I think when they were born, it was down on Trunk Street. And then they end up buying that property out there at some point and moved out there.
Yeah.
But
I just remember going up there, and my dad said, "That's where Red Dockery lives." And of course, I just said, "Oh boy," and I didn't know who that was. But later on in the years, I still remember that because my dad was a big friend and supporter of your dad.
A lot of fond memories out there. I remember that as a kid going out there a lot.
Yeah, and they would have been close to Big Springs. I would think, we went to Oak Grove, which is right down Durkee Road over there. And then Big Springs was still open, and that would have been a lot of those people that went to Big Springs around that area there.
Absolutely.
Because you was a quarter of a mile from there, and I was a quarter of a mile from Oak Grove, so sort of.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, well, it was a great day. So now,
who was Rex's coach at Bradley? Who would that?
Coach Smith.
Smith or Inslee?
Tips.
No, it was Smith.
Red come out
Smith,
later.
Okay.
Yeah, Coach Smith. Bill Smith?
Yeah.
Later on was superintendent of
And,
schools.
Yes, you're correct.
And then
That is correct.
Mr. Walker was assistant coach.
That's right.
Bill Walker was
Bill Walker was
became
assistant coach.
superintendent of school.
Absolutely.
I have plenty of stories about Bill Walker. I mean,
Fun guy.
he was teaching at Bradley when he got the job as the superintendent of schools. He was my algebra teacher.
Is that right?
And he taught me a lot of lessons, how to duck when he throws a book at you. Was one of the things. And he about threw me out the window of the second story up there. He was trying to make a point about how if a plane drops something out of it, does it go forward or backwards? And I said it goes backwards because the wind would blow it backwards. He says, no, it goes forward because the force of the moving do that. So he hung me out the window and had a piece of chalk and went through there, and it went forward, and he had a eraser. Then he said, now go get my chalk and eraser. So I know I digress there, but Bill Walker. But, he had some great influences in those people, too. Bill Walker was an interesting character. But
Absolutely. Yeah, Coach Walker and Coach Smith. I mean, hearing lots of those stories about when they played. I remember they said when they played up at Old Bradley, there was a barn right there where they practiced or whatever. So then they one time they got mad and made them run laps. My dad was telling me this story, and they were running laps, and my dad and a couple of them stopped inside the barn because they ran through it, and they stopped inside the barn while they were still running laps or whatever. And Rex went and told Coach Smith on my dad that they was in there and they had to run extra after practice. Of course, Rex was, a lot of people don't know, but he was a practical joker. He loved to do things like that to mess with people.
Well, I guess he was gone quite often. You didn't get to see him as much as you would probably like to. I mean, did he come back in on Thanksgiving?
Oh, he was here on holidays, and we went. I mean, I remember as a kid, at all the various places, I always went and spent time there. He was close until he went to Texas. He was very close, so we always went, those places, and I got to meet a lot of players and things of that sort.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. I don't remember ever actually meeting him, but always hearing of him, and lots of people saying nice things and seeing him.
I never met Rex either. I mean, I never met him. Of course, coming up through Bradley, we knew Rex Dockery. And
Sure,
of course,
sure.
knowing Red and becoming friends with him as I become older too.
Right.
I always knew about Rex, and remember the day when the accident happened and all that. It's
Do you remember as a child going and watching him coach?
Oh, absolutely.
Where all did you get to go?
Oh gosh, I actually remember Tennessee. I remember the early days at Tennessee, which I guess at that time I was, 8 years old, something like that. But I remember going up there because, he didn't get married until later on. So my sister and I were kind of like, his kids. He would always take us places and do things. So I remember Tennessee being there. I remember going down to Georgia Tech. He was there for a year at Georgia Tech, and then the times over at Vanderbilt. And then when he went to Texas, obviously we didn't get to go as much, but we did go out there a couple times a year to ball games and go out there.
So did you get to go down on the field and stuff?
Oh yeah. The greatest memory I have a lot of memories, obviously, but when I was 10 years old, this was 1972. Alabama was ranked number 1 in the country. Go figure. And they were playing Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt, and I was on the field, and they were doing the warm ups and all that stuff. Well, Rex called me over there, and he was talking to Coach Bryant, Bear Bryant, which was an icon.
Yeah.
And he called me over, and he introduced me. He said, "I want you to meet Coach Bryant." And Coach Bryant was just a big man. Obviously, at 10 years old, he's probably even, to me, bigger than life. And reached out his hand. He had that big graspy voice, and he said, "Son, you going to come play for me at the University of Alabama?" I said, "Yes, sir." And Rex looked at me and he said, what about your uncle? Rex was over after that. I met Coach Bryant. But
I love that.
Hey,
Never trust a little kid.
you're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can go out into the internet and see some pictures that we're going to post up of Coach Dockery.
Speaking of these wonderful pictures, I hope someone in the family has made some scrapbooks.
I've got all these things together, and I'm getting ready to do that.
Right.
I've got newspaper articles and everything else.
And let me remind you that you know who's in those pictures.
Absolutely.
But the next generation might not. To be sure to put names on the back of them gently with there's a nice blue pencil that you can get at Staples that won't push down hard, but it leaves a nice mark that doesn't get on the other pictures.
You can call us here at
and it's a pencil that you have to sharpen.
You can call us here at 614-5553, and we got a caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Ron Jeff. How you doing?
Hey, Bullet.
You guys are making me scratch my head this morning. I got more questions I have, brother.
Well, we're ready for the questions. Go ahead. Now, let me tell you, Bullet's quite the sports authority.
Okay.
For his day and time, the things that he's seen, he remembers them.
Okay.
Well, my cousin, I think, was a freshman when Rex played. His name was John Hinkle, and he actually played on the...
Yes.
You remember John Hinkle?
I remember the name. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
He actually played with Steve Sloan. And I think now... Well, when did Rex leave Bradley?
He graduated in 1960.
Oh, well, JL was I think he was a junior then.
Okay. I think so, because I think J.L. actually graduated with my mom and dad. They graduated in 61.
Yeah. And Andy Ballinger played with him, too.
Yes, he sure did. I remember that name, too. Sure do. Did Andy Ballinger go to Auburn and play football after?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Well, he actually tried to go there, and I think there was a statement I read in the paper where he said that he tried it, and he said it was too tough for him.
Oh, is that right?
And that don't sound like Andy Ballinger saying it's too tough.
You sure don't.
No, it doesn't.
But it was in the paper, and he actually said that it was too tough. He just had to give it up.
Huh.
And that don't sound like Andy Ballinger I knew. But no, I actually saw your. You say your uncle?
Yes.
I actually saw him play. I was about 10 years old.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I obviously I don't remember. I never got to see him play. Obviously, I wasn't born. I was born in '62, so I'd missed that time. I saw him as a toddler when he was at Tennessee, but I don't remember that. Obviously,
I started going about 66.
Okay.
Well, the guy I saw, he was a tough player.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I've always heard everything I always heard about him was he was very aggressive, very excited, very gave everything 100% on every single play, and that's what he talked about when he coached.
Well, I just hope I shared a little memories with you this morning, and I just want to call in and talk about him a little bit because and my cousin passed away in '98, J.L. Hinkle.
Yeah, that's right. I think I remember that. I remember talking to Mom and Dad about that because they talked to me about all those, people they went to school with and stuff. I know a lot of those names, but I don't know them personally. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was good talking to you this morning, and I'm going to enjoy the show, Ron.
All right. Thank you, Bullet.
Thank you.
Bullet, good friend of our show here, and always has some good questions.
Yeah,
and,
very good.
I had a cousin, Bruce Epperson, who was a running back behind Andy Ballinger. So, I don't know if he got as much playing time at that position or not, but he was there in 60, would have been a freshman when you're that, and grew up out on Spring Place Road with all of us, too. Yep. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hello, Ron and Debbie.
Hey, Miss Ella. How you doing?
I feel good this morning after dancing last night.
Oh, where did you go to Pokey's?
Oh, yeah.
How many beers you have?
Just one.
Just one, yeah, I believe that. One bottle at a time. Hey, now, Johnny, she's a cougar, and you fit right in her category.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Hey, I had a son that's older than him. I did. Remember he died, Ron?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, Frodad is going to be at the American Legion tonight if anybody wants to go.
Are you going to go up there?
No, I ain't going up there tonight.
You trying to recover from last night?
No, I just want to rest up till next time.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm planning on seeing if I can just change my ticket and go to California the 3rd of February.
Okay. Now, did you dance any last night?
Oh, yeah.
Who's the band?
Pro Daddy.
Oh, Fro Daddy was there last night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's playing at the American Legion tonight.
That's what she just said, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was out in the hall.
I met, what was her name? Neil Doberman's wife. She was nice. She sang a song up there.
Was it
his
Cat?
wife or his sister?
Was it Cat Dover?
Huh?
Was her name Kathy or Cat Dover?
Yeah, Kathy.
That's his sister.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was his wife.
No, that's his sister.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, Miss Ella.
I might have got it wrong.
Well,
It's
that's all
okay.
right.
Bye-bye, hon.
Bye-bye. Yeah, Neil Doberman's one of my favorite guitarists around town here. Him and Neil Dover play together a lot sometimes.
Oh, goodness.
Thanks for the call. 614-5553.
I love our call.
Now, where all did Coach Dockery coach? I mean, after the high schools, we got through the high schools, and then he went to where?
He went to University of Tennessee. Was his
Right.
first, coaching job. He coached there, coached receivers there, and then for 2 years, I believe, then went to Georgia Tech and coached offensive line there for a year. And that's where he and Coach Sloan got back together.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Sloan was offensive coordinator there. And then the following year, they went to Vanderbilt for 2 years. Coach Sloan was the head coach,
Right.
and Rex was offensive coordinator. And a couple other names that football people may know, Bill Parcells, who coached the Giants and is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was the defensive coordinator there at the time. And Romeo Cornell, who's coaching in pro football, he was on that staff. And so there's a lot of great coaches that were there. Jerry Glanville coached with him at Georgia Tech when he was there. So after Vanderbilt, he was there for 2 years. Then he went to Texas Tech. Coach Sloan got the head coaching job there, and Rex was offensive coordinator. And they were there for 3 years. And then Rex became the head coach at Texas Tech for 3 years, and then came to Memphis and was there for 3 years.
Right. So, on the December 12th,
December 12th,
1983. Tell us about that night and what was going to happen. And a sad day for us here in Bradley County and on your family. Let's get this call before we go on.
Okay.
Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ron, could I speak to Debbie off the line, please?
Sure can. Hold on just a second here. Make sure I got you here. If you lose it, just call right back. Go ahead, there. Go ahead.
Okay, December 12th, 1983. We just had a great victory over Louisville at the time, and had a winning season. First time they'd had one at Memphis State for some time. Rex had just been named. It was the Metro Conference at that time, Metro Conference Coach of the Year. So they were kind of on cloud nine. Been doing a great job in recruiting for the last several years. For 2 years in a row, they had got the Tennessee's Player of the Year in high school Player of the Year. So things were going really good, which University of Tennessee usually gets that player.
Right.
So they had done that last couple of years. So Rex had been asked to come speak at the Lawrenceburg Quarterback Club over in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, where they named the Tennessee Player of the Year.
Where is Lawrenceburg? I'm trying to place that. Is it up in upper north or?
It's middle. It's over by, you go down 64. Past Winchester.
Yeah,
I've been there.
I'm going
Columbia area.
You're right. Yeah, it's in that area.
Over in that area over there.
I was sitting there in Lawrenceburg. Where is that? I said, I know I've been there. I've been just about everywhere in Tennessee. So I was going, yeah.
So he'd been asked to come speak there to about, since they had received Tennessee Player of the Year the last couple of years. And so he was going, and offense coordinator Chris Ferris went, and Charles Greenhill, a player who had been the Tennessee Player of the year before, who was
just a freshman there?
Who was just a freshman who had a phenomenal year, especially the last 4 games. He just really blossomed. And then Glenn Jones, who was the Booster Club president, Highland 100, who actually was a pilot who had flown the plane. They went. Others had an opportunity to go. I believe Louis Alford could have gone on the trip. He may talk about it. I don't know the details of that.
I think he missed the plane by 10 minutes. He was late.
He was late. I believe that's right. Jeff Womack, who had been the Tennessee Player of the Year 2 years before that, couldn't go because of a class discrepancy. He'd talked about going. And that morning, I saw Rex out in the parking lot, and he asked me. He said, "Hey," he said, "we're going to Lawrenceburg tonight. You want to go with us?" Normally, I would always go because I went with him on recruiting trips and things of that sort. But I said, I can't. I've got a final, that evening. And he said, "Well, who's your professor?" And he said, maybe you can come take it a little earlier and go with us. And I said, nah, he's kind of strange about that. I'm afraid he may, hurt me or whatever, my grades. So, Rex, and it's kind of funny. We were very close, but, men don't typically say, "I love you" a whole lot. But he hugged me and said, "I love you," which I thought was kind of odd at the time, because he just didn't normally do that. And I went about my way and through my day, and they left. It was kind of a misty, kind of dreary kind of day that day, not pouring rain, but kind of foggy. And I remember I went and took my final, and I came down from the steps over in the Fogelman Business building over in Memphis, and walked down the stairs, and Nancy Alford, Louis' wife, was sitting down in the lobby, and she said, "Johnny, can I talk to you?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, you need to sit down." And that's when she told me that, the plane went down, and all 4 of them had died in plane crash. So, so I immediately took off running. I don't know why. Ran across campus back to the athletic dorm, obviously, upset, and got there, and, the athletic dorm was just, it was just, is a sad sight to see everybody just, heartbroken and tore up. And I knew, it was before the days of cell phones and stuff, and I knew I wanted to head to Germantown, where Rex and them lived, just, out in Shelby County, to get to Wallene, Rex's wife, and Dee and Trey to, I didn't know how they were going to, find out. So took off there, and they had already found out a police officer had came to the door and told them, what had happened.
Did they ever find out why the plane crashed, or, was there any investigation, or just
yeah, there was.
Just something,
Obviously, they do an investigation in that, and what they think happened is, when you're, and I didn't know this, but when you become a pilot, you originally learned how to fly by horizon. And then after that, you have to spend so many hours before you learn how to fly by your instruments,
right,
where you trust your instruments. Well, it was foggy, and they believe that what happened was, since it was so foggy and so dreary, he didn't trust his instruments and tried to start flying by horizon and just lost where he was, because he actually just drove the plane straight down into the ground, about probably 3 miles from where he was supposed to be.
Okay. Now, did it hit in a field, or?
Yeah, it was a field right behind this farmer's house, and it's for years, my granddad, Red Dockery that we talked about, we went over there. We used to go to the Lawrenceburg quarterback club. They would invite us over, and whoever the guest speaker was, we would get to spend time with them and talk with them. And the quarterback club there, they leave a chair open for Rex every night at the head table. And of course they've changed the name of the award now to it's called the Rex Dockery Award. So we would go over there, and I guess we went until probably about 6 years ago, 7 maybe, when Papa's health was getting where he couldn't do that, and so I knew that we wouldn't go over there very much, and I asked Papa, I said, would you like to try to find out where it happened? And he said, yeah, I would. He said, I really would. So we went early, and we didn't know where we were going. I just thought I can go to the courthouse, I can go different. So they directed me how to get there, after talking to several people. And evidently somebody must have called the farmer and told him we were on our way out there, because he met us, and he walked us back there to where it was. And ironically, there were some steel pieces of the plane that were there, small pieces, blue and white, that we actually, took a couple pieces. Sure. But that was, Papa, it was closure to him. It really was. He was glad we did it. And, and I don't know if that was the last trip that we went, but it might have been if it wasn't, the next year was, because he just couldn't travel.
So he was just 41.
41 when he died. Yeah.
So
young age.
Did he have children?
Yes, he had two boys. Trey Dockery. Trey is in Nashville right now. He works at Vanderbilt in their IT department, or graduate programs. And then Dee is in Memphis. He works for Campbell Orthopedic. He's a doctor over there in Memphis.
Well, good for them. Good for them.
You're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can call us here at 614-5553. We got Johnny Mull here, and we're talking about Rex Dockery, former Bradley High School football player and UT player, and a successful college coach for many years to his untimely death, December 12th, 1983. If you played football with Coach Dockery, or if you attended school with him, we'd like for you to call in. So we'll be listening. Make sure sometime our phones get hooked up, the buttons don't work right, and I always check them. Johnny, this is a tough question, and just knowing that you was one of those people that didn't make the plane, what is, what
goes through your mind?
What goes through your mind? I mean, that you had the opportunity to spend great time with your uncle,
right?
And then he passed away, and anyone on that plane with him. Well, what? Let's get this phone call. But think about that. Well,
okay.
I mean, I just like to know what you felt. It's a interesting question, I think. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland. Hello?
Good morning.
Are you there?
Yeah, good.
Hey, there you are. Go ahead. You're live on the air.
I'd like to not be live on the air because I got a story. I'd like to have a couple real good questions, too.
Okay, and what's your name?
My name is Kenneth Nelson.
Okay, Kenneth, go ahead, honey.
Okay, listen. I am disabled. I lost my hand. I was a diesel mechanic for Bradley County school buses for 5 years. I've lost my left hand, young lady. I'm left-handed, can't work, can't do all this. I can prove to you what I'm saying by the doctors and all this. I'm about to lose my home. There ain't none of these churches around here that'll help me. The community service won't help me or nothing else. I've tried Channel 12 News. I tried Channel 3 News. And I can't get no help, no way, no shape, no form. And I'm in a bind so bad that I squeak every time I walk. And I was just wondering if Wolf FM couldn't do, because I listen to y'all station all the time. That's the best station to me on the radio. And I was wondering if somebody couldn't get together there and kind of take up a collection or do something to help a man keep him getting kicked out on the street. The place I've been here for 5 years, and I got a little settlement back in June. I paid my rent up until January of this year, and now then I'm getting kicked out, and it's me and my wife, and I have a real beautiful boxer dog. And like I said, I've tried everything in the world. The churches won't even help me. I can't get the churches to help me. I can't get this to help me. I can't get that to help me. And I would.
Well, let me tell you what you need.
What to say or what to do.
Let me tell you what to do. Okay.
I'm left-handed. I've lost my left hand. I've had to learn to wipe my butt, learn how to eat, and everything with my right hand. I was on workman's comp for 2.5 years. I can't buy a job if I could find one for a penny in this town.
Okay, listen. This is what you need to do.
And I'm needing some help. I live at 1623 Overhead Bridge Road. I don't know if y'all know the busing company or not, but I work for my own busing company here in Bradley County. He owns 13 school bus routes.
Yeah. Okay, well, listen.
I'm hurting so bad that I'm unreal. I got eviction notice and everything else, and I was just wondering if you couldn't talk to Wolf FM, Fro Daddy, and there's a couple more there that I know I just can't speak of. But see, if somebody couldn't give me some help, please.
All right. What you need to do. We're only here on Saturday mornings, and we're really not here at Whoop during the week, or have nothing to do with it. You need to call Monday morning. Call Lisa Monday morning at 7:00.
Call Lisa at 7:00 Monday morning.
Yeah, she's the station manager, and that's who you need to really talk to. And they can help you. We're just not here enough to do anything for you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, and good luck to you.
Yeah, I mean, I would even come down to the radio station and tell my story to the whole world. See, I'm trying to get Social Security, like I said, young man, and it's been laying in front of their doctors for the last 3 months. Why can't they make a decision within 3 months?
I can't tell you, sir. Just call Monday morning. We got to move on here. Thanks. We do anything here at Whoop. And hope he gets some help.
I do too.
And that's a sad story.
It is, absolutely.
Tough. When
right, absolutely, I agree.
So, tell
just
us
a reminder how lucky we are.
Tell us, luck or faith or what emotions did you have or do you have today?
Oh gosh, it's
there's
funny.
Another call coming here. Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron, Debbie, and Johnny. This is Doyle Palmer.
Hey, Doyle Palmer, how are you today?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay today. I want to tell you that I was a very close friend to John Red Dockery there, and I was affiliated with Rex just a little bit. I was teaching at North Lee, and he actually substituted there just a little bit. 1 year, I guess, before he went back to school or something, just for, a few days beginning of the school year. But one time we happened to meet up at the spot, and I've never seen a young guy eat like he did that day. Old Rex, he ate about 3 or 4 hamburgers and a big old milkshake. And so he got up and left before I did, and there was a guy sitting over by the side of him, and when he left, that guy asked Chester Perkle, said, "Who was that boy?" And old Chester said, "Well, so that was Rex Dockery." He said, "He's a pretty hardy eater. He eats like that every time he comes in here." He said, he's going to be a big-time football player. He said, "You'll know who he is one of these days." Well, that's one of my stories about Rex, and I always enjoyed being around them. And thanks for taking my call this morning.
Well, Doyle, it's always good to have you call, and always good to have you on the program. Doyle's one of our regulars, comes in here quite often.
Absolutely. Mr. Palmer and I sit and watch the ball games together up on the press box, me and him and Greg Guerin every Friday night. And that's our spot, and talk about the game.
Yeah, they had an exciting boys game over at Bradley last night. Bradley and Walker Valley played, and both teams in the boys game just played their heart out. And it went 1 overtime, and I think Bradley had the ball with, seemed like it was 3.9 seconds to play, and the Bradley boy took it down the floor and scored. And and Bradley won. But it was really an exciting game, and both teams played hard.
It was a huge. I didn't get to go last night
either,
but it was packed.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a big crowd.
I believe that's Taylor Bentley that hit the winning shot at the end. From what I saw, I wish I could have been there.
Yeah, I believe it was Bentley that hit it, and one of the big factors in the game was Bradley hit a very, very high percentage of their free throws.
That can be the difference in ball game many, many times.
It really can. But enjoying the show.
Thank you, Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Doyle's another one of those fellas I can call in the 11th and a half hour and say, my guest had to cancel on me. Would you come in? And he'll say, yes, ma'am, I'll be there. What are we talking about? And I don't care what it is. He can talk about it.
Well, I've learned a lot from Mr. Palmer. In fact, the North Lee with him, Rex going, I didn't know that until I talked to Doyle. And then I started talking to Mom and them about it, and they said, oh, yeah, we forgot about that, when he actually went to North Lee for a while.
I don't know if Rex had anything to do with it, but Doyle told us one time about organizing a marble tournament up at North Lee. Now, can you imagine in today's school environment having time for a
and
marble?
we found a picture of the Chattanooga big marble championship, and then Doyle says, yeah, we took some boys from Bradley County down there to it. And I'm going, man, he just
done everything.
Doyle's he used to take his rifle to school with him, set it outside so they could hunt on the way home to eat.
I believe that.
Can you imagine taking a rifle to school today? You can't.
It's a little different
environment.
environment.
Different environment today. Look, well, let's try to get that story again. Go ahead and tell us.
Okay, but it talked about the emotions that I felt when that happened, and it's funny.
Every time you say the word emotion,
they're good morning, you live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ron, Louis Alford.
Hey, Louis, how are you?
Large.
Some names never change.
Good morning.
How you, Johnny?
I'm good. Good to talk to you.
Good to hear you. I've been listening to the radio show, doing a great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Easy topic.
Yeah, that is true. Well, to some degree it is.
Yes.
Well, I understand you were about to be on that plane.
Yeah, I was probably 10 minutes from being on it, and I don't talk about it a whole lot because it wasn't a good time.
Oh, I understand, yeah.
We were just about ready to walk out the door when Chris and Charles came back from recruiting trip and not necessarily booted me off, but I got displaced, we'll put it that way.
Wow.
And tell us about Rex. What are your memories about Rex?
I've got lots of them.
A lot of them probably can't talk about it on the radio.
Well, you can tell some of them.
Talk about it on the radio, that's right.
You can tell some of them.
Now, Rex and I, we more or less all the Gibsons and the Sloans and the Dockerys and all pretty well grew up together and played a lot of Naho. Rex was always the catcher. We played Naho baseball, which, of course, Johnny wouldn't even know what Naho baseball was, but as the Little League baseball back when.
Okay.
And Rex and I were the pitcher, and Rex was the catcher, and Sloan played shortstop. We and the Gibson played second. We had a real fine team. After about 5 minutes, the ball usually weighed so much from the dew on the grass that you had to throw it like a rock. But he was a character, and Johnny was talking about him a while ago about him having such a character about kidding around with people. Oh. He always was wearing me out about something, and I'm not going into the Vanderbilt story. I'm sure Johnny would remember it.
Yes, it was a classic.
Are we going to tell the Vanderbilt story? I'll write this down here, Johnny. We may get to that. So anytime somebody busts out laughing, going, "Oh my God," and shaking their head, you go, "We got to hear that one now."
Well, this gives you. I'll go ahead and tell it because it's all over town anyway.
All right.
Prime example of what guy Rex was. This was at Vanderbilt. I was his administrative assistant at this time, and I'd been taking care of will call tickets and doing that type of thing. And I came into the dressing room right before the game started, and of course he was giving his pep talk, and I went on back in Vanderbilt's dressing room at that time. The restrooms were way back in the back of the dressing room, and so I went back there and was using the restroom, and team goes fired out. They go running out and everything. So I go to the bathroom, and I get ready to walk out. The door's locked. So I begin to beat on the door, and trying to get somebody to come open it. And finally, a policeman came, and I said, "Would you go get the keys? Let me out of here." And so the policeman goes out, and I think he found Johnny. And Johnny went up to Rex, who had the key in his pocket. And Johnny asked him for the key. He said, "Louis locked in the dressing room." So Rex looks at him and grins, if I remember the story right, and says, "I'll just leave him in there."
That's exactly right.
I was locked in the dressing room to about halftime. That's the kind of guy Rex was. He was always kidding around, you know. And he was notorious for calling you up here in high school and pretend like if you were dating a girl or something, he'd call and pretend like he was the girl's father. Oh, Lord, he would have you squirming, and I'm not going into that subject. He was just always kidding around in that, but he was a great person and great coach, and like Johnny had said earlier, a real inspiration to a lot of young people.
Oh, yeah. One of the most positive people I've probably ever been around. You know, no matter what the situation, he'd find something positive out of it.
Yeah, I never would say anything negative about anyone, and it was always a treat to be around him, you know.
Yeah. Some good times.
Yeah. And we really enjoyed, I hadn't mentioned it yet, but they had this 30th, a 30-year ceremony of his death over at Memphis State a few months ago.
Yeah, October.
Yeah.
Rededicated the field?
Yes.
Rededicated, and I went over for that event, and Memphis State, University of Memphis now did an outstanding job, I thought. Of course, Wallene was there, and some of them, and it was a real good visit. I met a lot of ex-players, saw a lot of ex-players that played when he was there, and also some good friends that was big Booster Club members at the same time also.
Yeah, that was a great trip. A lot of fun to get to reacquaint with a lot of those people I hadn't talked to in a while.
Yes, it was a good event. I was so glad that I went, because a few weeks after that event, and Johnny's aware of this also, a real good friend of Rex and I's when we were there, a guy named George Barham, passed away of a heart attack, and it was a blessing that I got to go over and visit with him again, because he was really close to Memphis State University.
Oh, yes.
And close to the program at that time. He did a lot to help Rex and us get that program turned around.
Absolutely, yeah. He was a very good man, Mr. Barham.
Well, now, Louis, I've got an important question for you, a little different subject there. Who's your favorite Bradley High School wrestler?
Most people don't know that Knox Fuller is my grandson. So
Well, I tell you, he has had an excellent season and just an unbelievable wrestler, and just a freshman, right?
Yes, he's just a freshman.
Well, I tell you, Bradley's loaded down in those light weights down up through there. They've got, they got peoples on the bench that are as good as people in the state. You know, T.J. Hicks, and Ryan McElhaney, and then T.J. and then Tribio and Fuller and Parker. I mean, they're just loaded down through there.
Yeah, they need. I keep telling my wife, and I hadn't talked to Coach Smith, but I think they need to go out there and grab some of those football players and start making some wrestlers out of them, because
definitely up on the upper end. That's probably where Bradley needs that.
Upper end, and not that these kids aren't trying their heart out, but they, again, it's a lot of it's strength and things like that. Of course, wrestling's a technique too. You got to have a lot of good.
I've always thought the wrestling helped the football players get their agility and they can move better. Of course, the wrestlers, they want them a little lighter, but these wrestlers, Patrick Benson, Tucker Bolton, Bradley Cobalt, Aguilars, you can tell all.
They were just all strong kids.
Oh yeah, strong, and they are fast, and they knew how to they could take a person down when they come around. So
both sports can help each other. They really can.
And then
they've got an excellent little wrestling team, and they're up Knox Halls today.
Yes,
some type of a match and meet or whatever, and. But I'm very, very proud of him.
Well, you ought to be. He's done a great job, and look forward to 3 more years of watching him wrestle. And I tell you, of course, a lot of people, they don't know, the head football coach at Bradley High School is a 2-time state champion from Bradley High School in wrestling.
That's right. Damon Floyd, correct.
Damon Floyd. So, I think we got good support there towards the wrestling program.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think Coach Smith's going to do a great job, and they just, they need to get on their weights real heavy and get stronger, because I think the teams that have beat them this year is just more or less beat them because they outstrengthed them.
I think you're right.
The Cleveland team was just a loaded team. Baylor's always loaded because they can go anywhere in the nation and find, if they need a 170-pounder, they just go find a 170.
Well, yes, that's always.
And then, and Corsati Daisy's always good. And, this region is the strongest region in the state, because we have 4 teams that will wrestle Thursday night. 2 of them stay home that could beat anybody in the state, and the other 2 go on.
That's right. And then Walker Valley's really come on.
Oh, yes.
With their program, and, it's just, it's a shame, not a shame, I guess, but it'd be really good if we could put all 3 of those schools together, have a royal team.
Oh, well, it would be unbelievable.
Nobody would touch them.
It would be.
With the all-stars on one team, nobody could beat them.
They hadn't been able to touch as much with 3 schools here lately, though. Well, hey, thank you, Louis, so much for calling in.
Hey, anytime. Appreciate it.
All right, now, hey, I'm sure I'll see you again at a wrestling match soon.
Well, I'm sure you probably will.
All right, bye-bye.
See you, Louis.
Yeah, Knox Fuller is doing a great job for Bradley High School.
I put a nice picture of that family, of Louis' family, on the internet. I hope they saw it on Facebook.
Oh, good people. Very good
now, tell me your story.
We're getting back to the emotions about that night. And, obviously Louis brought this up. This past December was the 30th anniversary of that time. And what's amazing to me is you still feel emotions after 30 years. And I give the Rex Dockery Award away, every year at Bradley High School. And I was talking to somebody about that the other day. And it depends on the year. Sometimes I can get up there and talk about it, and I don't have any problems. And there's other times I get up there and I tear up, and I have to stop between times to, catch myself. So, there's the emotions I felt then were just obviously all over the place. Just shock was the biggest thing. I mean, to think that, he was 41. And think about that now, all the things he had done up to the age of 41.
You have to think
about what he was going to do.
Absolutely.
You wonder what would happen to that. We think about, the Buddy Hollies, what would have happened. And, all the people, and Rex Dockery was, a very successful football coach.
Oh, absolutely. And you think about people that he coached with, and you saw what they did at the pro level, different things of that sort. And you wonder, and and I talked with him. We would sit and watch film, for hours and talk about football and things of that sort. And I wanted to coach, and the plan was I was going to be a GA, stay there in Memphis and be a GA under him. And then, who knows what would have happened, in that situation, whether I'd stayed or gone on or whatever. But when that happened, I don't know why, but I just felt a need. I needed to get back home, to go ahead and graduate and then get back home. I don't know why, but I felt like I needed to be here. And so
was your grandmother still alive when Rex was killed?
Yes, she sure was. Yes, she died actually in '95, and the sad thing about that is I don't think she ever really recovered from his death. They say the loss of a child's the hardest loss you can experience.
Even when they're 40,
right.
It's a hard loss.
I hope and pray I never have to go through, nor anyone else has to go through that. But she struggled. She coped and dealt, but it was I would say she wasn't the same person. After that, she died 12 years after the fact. But it was it definitely changed, our family and a lot of things because, not that we don't all love each other or whatever, but Rex was kind of the, the shining star, I guess, if you may, in the family, and always so much fun and full of life. And it was hard to understand why something like that, could happen to someone that's so promising and did so many great things for, for kids and things, and had that positive message. And so anyway,
Do you think he got into sports because of Red's interest in it, or do you have any clues on that?
Well, Papa played. Papa actually was in the, he played football and stuff too, and actually was in the Detroit Tigers organization, baseball for a while. So athletics has always been a bond in our family.
it's one of those things. Some people just got it, and some of us don't.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those don't.
So, Ron, do you think Red Dockery's coach would have been Jimmy Lovell?
Yes, early days would have been Jimmy Lovell. I'm pretty sure of that. And I remember you went to Detroit and everything, and then did come back and he retired from the railroad.
He did. He retired from the railroad and
what did he do on the railroad?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Several different things. I remember. It's hard to believe I was 4 when he left, but I can actually remember going over there with him and getting on the back of the train and doing some things. So I don't know. If Mom was here, she could probably tell you more. But
then after he retired from the railroads, when he got into politics.
Yes,
of course that's where I know him from.
Yeah, 1966 is when he ran for trustee.
Well, that's great. Well, hey, we've been talking to Johnny Mull here all morning, and we'll be here till 12 o'clock talking about Rex Dockery and Johnny Mull, and we'll be talking about John Dockery, Red Dockery. So we got all of you, and we may talk about your mom.
I'd be fine.
Yeah. And now, is this a picture of your mom and your uncle up there?
That is a picture of my mom and
Is
Rex.
your mom older or younger?
She's younger.
Younger, okay.
She's 18 months.
18 months younger, okay.
They're good-looking kids.
Yeah.
Now, you said that Rex was a ball, just a ball of fun and all things like that. Well, your mom pretty fun too. Now, I mean, she's always cut up and
she's wide open. She definitely, she played ball too. I mean, she played ball at Arnold and then played for Coach Smitty as a Barrett basketball player. And I've heard quite a few tales about her spunkiness and stuff herself.
Well, I tell you, I have to say, about every time that I ever ran into her anywhere it was, in all my adult life, it was always just as friendly and hello and how are you of anybody. And I didn't know her any more than anyone else went on the street. We didn't.
Right.
I knew who she was, of course, and just, hey, Ron, how you doing? Just friendly and thing. And and your dad's always seemed to be quiet to me because Pam talked all the time.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I think some of that has changed over time.
Has it?
I think Dad was tired. He worked all the time because now Dad goes around. He's more involved in social things and community.
He is.
I mean, he's out at Old Fort and Rebel.
He needs to come be on this show.
He would probably like it.
Yeah.
Ron, we need to, when we play our song this morning, we need to remember the Haney family. They had a loss this morning too, and along with Bob Cash's family and anyone else that we've lost in the community this week.
Right after the commercials, before we come back on, we'll play a song called "Gone Home," and it just honored all the people who passed away.
Absolutely.
Add Rex to that today. And we'll be back in a few minutes. We got to pay a few bills, and we'll be back here on Old Town Cleveland.
WOOP LP, Cleveland, Tennessee.
You need money overnight? Check into cash. Your time is tight. .com. Bank account's too low? Check into cash. So where do you go? .com. Do it online in a record time. It's the easy way to get money next day. Do a quick click from home at checkintocash.com. Just stay in the house, check into cash, and grab your mouse.com. Get your money online, check into cash, right on time.com. You can be sure it's secure from our bank straight to yours. Do a quick click from home at checkintocash.com. No time to get away, check into cash. You've got to stay home.com. Hey, that's okay, check into cash. You can do it alone.com. Any old time, do it online. Just stay in the house and grab your mouse. Do a quick click from home. Get your money overnight at the right website. Do a quick click from home. Go to checkintocash.com.
Wheeler Technologies has moved. Visit them at their new location at 490 Grove Avenue Southwest next to Bradley Rentals. Same great folks, same great service with a better location to serve you. Call Wheeler Technologies for voice, data, and security needs at 664-TECH. That's 664-8324. And remember, depend on Wheeler Technologies for the current time and temperature every day at 476-1111. Tennessee Alarm Contractor C1750. Kiesler Incorporated is in the business of recycling your metal, and they pay cash. The only covered scrapyard around where you can recycle rain or shine. They're located off the bypass on Overhead Bridge Road. Automobiles, appliances, copper, stainless steel, tin, all metals can be recycled at Kiesler, and you can walk away with cash. That's right, they pay cash, and they are the friendliest scrapyard in the Southeast. If you have unwanted metal just laying around, bring it to Kiesler Recycling recycling today and walk away with cash. Kiesler Recycling open Monday through Saturday, 7:30 to 5, or call for more details, 614-3000.
All of my friends that I loved yesterday have gone. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. The songbirds are singing, the dell seem to say gone. They have gone home. Gone. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as the work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. Life here is lonely since they've gone before. Gone. They have gone home. Gone. They have gone home. The old weeping willow that stands by the door sadly sighs. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as the work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as their work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. Where'd the old town go? They moved it all north of here in the shopping mall. Ooh, where'd the old town go? Did my hometown get old, or just me? Did all my friends get old, or just me? Are they all gonna have to be told, or just me?
Welcome back to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553. We got Johnny Mull here, and we're talking about the lives and times of Rex Dockery and about his grandpa and maybe his mama, and we might tell stories on Johnny too if anybody knows any out there.
Oh, goodness, let's leave that alone.
And we did play the song Gone Home for all those people who passed away in honor of Rex and Geraldine, and there's several other people in the community who passed on this week, and we just want to say bless them and all their families. And let's take this call. Hello, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ron.
Hey.
Baby, Johnny. Tom Rowland.
Hey, Tom. How are you?
Hey, Mayor.
Hey, Johnny.
Yes.
Let me first of all say something about Johnny. If you need a United Way volunteer, you just call Johnny up. He takes care of his end of the bargain.
There you go.
And everything's taken care of. But listen, you were talking about Red and Rex and Mrs. Dockery. I wasn't around Rex a lot, but the last time I ever talked to Rex, I'll never forget what he told me. It was at the Old Timer Sports Hall of Fame, and Rex, because, Red was on the committee for years, And Rex walked up to me and he said, "Hey, I just wanted to appreciate how nice you are to my mom and dad."
Oh.
And, you know, they were the kind of people it's easy to be nice to.
Right.
But I'll never forget Rex telling me that, and that was the last conversation we ever had before the tragedy, of course.
Well, you know, he always believed, he always talked about it, about coming home to Cleveland. It was like kind of like recharging his batteries. And he always believed that you never forgot where you came from.
That's absolutely right. Great family.
Well, thank you.
And Rex, of course, you know, you just wonder how much further he could have gone.
Oh, yeah, that's ran through my mind many, many, many times.
And it was unlimited, really unlimited, too.
Oh,
I
yes.
just want to share that one memory with you. I didn't have a lot of them, but I'll never forget that one the rest of my life.
Well, thank you, Mr. Rowland. I appreciate that very much.
And then enjoyed your State of the Union address. I did get to see it live, but did read about it in the banner.
State of the Union, the president does the State of the Union.
Oh, State of the City.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you call it, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a stadium. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm glad you played that song for Bob Cash.
Yes, absolutely.
It was great. He's going to miss his mama.
Oh, he does. And, you know, I expect Bob may call us this morning. I hope he does. And, you know, that's a part of my family, so I have to when they hurt, I do too.
Yeah, they do. Everybody does. And it's a good family, too. And it was good to see you there, too, Ron, the other day at the memorial service.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Mayor.
All right, all of you have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye. We could do stories on Tom Rowland, but not on the air.
Oh, I don't know how he would appreciate that or not.
You know, Tom thinks any publicity is good publicity.
Well, you
so
know,
whatever the story is.
There's a lot of theory about that.
You know, some of those stories he'd say he'd like to have a good story or tell on him. He'd say, you know, to improve his legend. You know.
Sure.
So,
oh yeah.
I like Tom and Sandra, good friends of mine. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Ron, this is Bob Cash.
Hey, Bob Cash, how are you?
Okay, I guess I just wanted to tell Mayor Tom Rowland that I and my family appreciate what he'd done at my mama's funeral. Tom read my mother's obituary, and he said a few nice words and how he knew Mama and the family, and I appreciate Tom for that, and I love him forever. And Ron, you and Debbie meant so much to us by being there and holding our hand. And you're right, I'm gonna miss my mama.
Well, you got other family, and you got us, and she went on to a better place, and we're here to support you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And I'll let you go right now and listen to your program.
Love you, Bob. Bye-bye.
You guys. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I think during the service the other day, they brought it up that she worked over at the
Kentucky Fried Chicken on
for
Wildwood.
like 30 years.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And everybody knew her. And she'd come by. It was at the buffet, and she'd come by to get their plates, and she'd say, "Now keep your fork." And to her, that meant that something good was coming.
Uh-huh.
And so,
I think the pastor said something about that, and he gave them a big fork to put up by the front door. Says, you know, anytime he was at a reunion, you keep your fork, because after you had the plate, that means the desserts or something really good's coming. So more good is coming. So
there you go.
It was a good. I was trying to figure out where they was going to that. And so I'm not going.
And
then I said, well, that was pretty darn good. You know, I like that. You know, so.
I need to let him have my fork a little bit.
I've tried to cut. I got 50 pounds off last year, and I need another 50 this year, and then I'll be fat. Good morning. You live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Randy. Dennis Stafford here.
Yes, sir, Dennis.
How y'all doing?
Very
Great.
good.
Dennis. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing great. I just need to talk to you a little bit about Rex Dockery and his family.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Back when I moved back from Tucson, Arizona to Bradley, we moved back. Our house was about 300 yards from Mr. Dockery and Rex and Pam's house on Spring Place Road now where that loop goes.
Uh-huh.
They tore that house down and put that home out there. But let me tell you something about Doc. Other than the fact that he was an absolute quintessential gentleman, beyond reproach. He and Charlie Snyder were probably as close as you'll ever find anybody to be. But after saying all that, I can tell you about Red Dockery and his wife. They were the reason Rex Dockery was because of Red Dockery and his mother. They were the greatest people that you could ever even want to talk about. And I remember when I was a kid, we lived down in South Cleveland, there by the railroad track. When I was probably 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, and Doc, Red Doc, would come by on this train route, and he would just switching cars and first one thing the other. And it wasn't a time that I can remember when I've seen him on that railroad track that he wouldn't come over there and talk to me. And one of the greatest memories I have of Doc is he would slip you a nickel or a dime. We were so damn poor we couldn't pay attention. If you got a nickel from Doc, you know, it was just the greatest as a child. But anyway, my point being, and I won't ramble too long because I can talk forever about Rex Dockery, but his family was the absolute root of his success. If you were to take a family and pick it out of heaven, lay it on earth, that would have been Red Dockery. In my opinion, that's where they got all of their whatever they had, and they got it all. So,
gosh, thank you very much, Mr. Stafford. I appreciate those comments. Obviously, I think that, but you know, I appreciate hearing that from someone else.
Are you a grandson?
Yes, sir. I sure am.
I can tell you, son, you are damn lucky. There's no question or doubt in my mind. Excuse my French, but they were the greatest people. And Doc and I played football together at Bradley in 1960, and NC went on to Vanderbilt up there.
Right.
We maintained a friendship. But if you had back in the day, we were not allowed to drink water. It was
right.
Couldn't have a drop of water. At practice, we 4 hours no water. We were dehydrated down to a prune when we got off the field.
Wow.
If you'd been hit by Bud White or Charlie Scott or Rick Humphrey, if they rung your bell real good, and they could do it, old Doc would grab you up and he'd make you feel good about it. You'd be hurting all over the place, but he would get in your face and laugh and carry on. and some of the stuff that he put, I could talk forever about it, you know.
Oh, I love it.
Even today, when I talk about Doc and his friendship, I get those little cool goose pimples. You know, just the one. He got killed in that plane crash, and my son was killed in 1996. But the one thing that I really would love to have him done was met Riggs, because he was a super guy. And that's just the real world. That's the way it is.
Well, I can't even hardly speak to thank you so much for those comments. And
Johnny, you're Johnny, right?
Yes, sir.
That old bald-headed man of yours.
Yes.
Mulligan, the old Mulligan.
Yes, sir.
What a wonderful person he is.
Well, thank you. He's kept me in line for 50 years. So
you were blessed to have grandparents and great and parents of that caliber. I just envied you for so long for that reason.
Well, thank you. I know I'm blessed.
Absolutely. I don't know if you would know how blessed you are unless you were outside looking in rather than inside looking out. But anyway, have a good day. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Dennis.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. See you guys.
You see why I say I love
Johnny
our
says
callers?
Johnny's just ready to go home now. He said, can't get no better than that.
Good gracious.
I always love those first-hand experiences, especially, you knew your grandpa, but just for somebody else to say that, it means a lot.
Like I said, my contact with Red is not as deep as what Dennis's was there, but, I did know him, and he was one of those people who is always friendly and, thing.
Red
and of course,
would say,
and I grew up a Democrat. Right. And my dad's a Democrat, but Red Dockery was it. I mean, he was a Republican, but he didn't care. Red Dockery was the man.
That's one thing, and I don't, obviously, it's great to grow up in the family that I've grown up with, with my grandparents, and my mom and Rex and my dad, and
You didn't turn out half bad yourself.
Hard to live up to. I mean, if I can be half of what they were, but in saying that, I always remember growing up, and I hear this all the time about. How you treat people, and you're friendly to people. It doesn't matter whether you know them or not. You always say hello, and never know what a smile may be, and treat people how you would want to be treated. And that's just how I grew up. That's the way you're supposed to do. And that's not any act or anything like that. That's just how we were, brought up and the way we're supposed to do.
I always
and you've done a good job.
Well,
I always loved to see Red, because I tried to ask him little history questions. And he'd always say to me, "Little lady, I bet you don't know where Hanging Dog's at." And I says, "Well, I got a good idea." And he'd laugh.
Well, we actually went to Hanging Dog. This was, I don't know, it's probably 20 years ago, to a Dockery reunion.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
In the mountains, and I'd never been to Hanging Dog. And we went over there, and buddy, it is in where we went. I heard banjo music. I heard Deliverance. I mean, we were in the middle of nowhere, but it was really great to meet a lot of those, former.
Isn't it funny to see people that look like
it's
you
right
that
down
you
the,
don't know?
Yes.
It's right down the road from Mooresville, North Carolina, where you heard probably
Beaver's
the banjo.
Dam.
Beaver's Dam and the
Yes,
banjo.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, so that's where my
Dam
folks are
Bald.
from too. So I know that feeling up there.
Well, and a lot of those
we don't-
folks.
some of our tree doesn't have limbs on it; it's just trunk.
Well, I understand. I totally understand. It's beautiful country, though.
Yes.
It's beautiful country.
But it's so great to go back. Johnny, in case people don't know who you are, and everything is, you come back and started teaching. Tell us what you've done
He's
through
the
the school
energy
system.
Nazi.
I know he's the energy Nazi now. That's what the teachers call you. But tell us what your involvement has been here in Bradley High School. You've been involved in education and shaping young people's lives for a long time too.
Yeah, well, that's obviously from the influence of Rex. I wanted to teach and coach. I wanted to influence young people. I think it's the greatest thing in the world for you to do is have some impact and helping young men, women reach their potential as adults. I don't think there's anything greater in the world than that. And so when I graduated from Memphis, I came home, got the opportunity to come back to Cleveland and to coach and teach and coach at Bradley High School right off the bat, which is a blessing because that doesn't happen a lot. John Chewy, who had been the offensive line coach there, took a job and went with Huddle House, if you remember, and left. And Chief Robertson, everybody remember Chief, he was head coach at the time.
I'm so glad that they did. Everybody got together and told him how much he meant to them before he died.
Absolutely.
Because usually people say nice things about you when you die, but I mean, everybody walked up, looked him in the eyes, and told him what they meant, and that meant so much to me.
That thing that we had down at the high school about
The
Chief.
roast.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness, the
that was
stories
so funny.
Kenneth Raper told, and some of these other people, and Sweeney, and all those people, going, and of course, Coach Robinson was just a hoot.
Oh.
He was and the story about Raper going over that first time he comes to the door in his underwear.
Oh, yeah. Well,
With his holster
well,
on.
the funny thing about that story right there is the same story happened to Kevin and I when we first went over there. But if you knew Chief, he was always in his underwear, sitting around in the recliner watching, boxing or something like that. That's just who he was. But a lot of people don't know what a tremendous thing he did for kids, as well.
Oh, he was very. Go ahead, Collier. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron.
Hey, Red.
Hey, Red.
I heard somebody mention Hanging Dog.
Hanging Dog.
I was born in Hanging Dog.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well,
what about
Donnie's grandfather's from there too.
Who?
The Dockery family.
Dockery's.
Dockery's.
Yes.
I don't know. We might be kinfolk.
We very well may. Hanging
I'm
Dog,
not
North
sure his
Carolina.
family made moonshine, though, Red, like your family did.
Well, that side of the family didn't make moonshine.
Oh,
it's the other side.
It was after I married that I got into the
Oh, that's it. I always say my family didn't make moonshine, but they were some of the moonshiners' best customers.
Where's your still at now, Doc? Red?
We don't have one now.
Oh, okay.
We did away with it.
Where do you buy your moonshine?
Down at Ooltewah.
Yeah. They have it in the stores now, don't they?
Yeah.
Sure do.
It's legal.
That'll take care of. Red came by a couple of weeks ago, and she was trying to get over the flu. That's what you needed to put a little pep in your step, huh?
I didn't go to the doctor, and I got over it.
Just a little dab will do you.
That's right. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Okay. Now, Red, tell me how from Cleveland to get to Hanging Dog.
The Hanging Dog, I go through Murphy and Hazel.
Yep.
I think you can go through the mountains at Tellico and come out on the other side of it too, can't you?
That's a long way.
That's the long way. Well,
see, they built that new highway all the way through now. It don't take no time to go there.
You still have relatives up there?
Oh, yeah, all over the place.
All over the place.
It's pretty country over there.
Part of them I don't even know.
Well, that happens in my family too.
Absolutely.
I don't know whether I'd want to know half.
I understand.
Well, Johnny, the only bad thing about Red is she's a Georgia fan.
Well,
Hey.
there's...
My boys are going to come out of the kinks this year. You watch her.
All right. Well, maybe UT will win one or two.
Yeah,
also.
our Vols are coming back, I believe.
I don't think they are.
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
And
we'll have that discussion.
And let's just get an early decision in here. I'm not betting you on the game this year.
I know that.
I did that one time, and it cost me.
a T-shirt.
Oh,
You
goodness.
never have got over that, have you, Rob?
No, never will. At least you didn't make me wear the T-shirt. It's all right. I bought you one.
Hey, I still wear that T-shirt.
I know you did. As long as I didn't have to wear it, it was okay. I'd buy it and give it to you.
Okay.
Bye-bye, Red.
Bye.
So Red's from Hanging Dog.
That doesn't surprise me.
Wow.
While we're taking a pause here, let me tell everybody that next week on January 25th here on our show, we're going to have Sheriff Joe Guy out of McMinn County, which I think is probably one of the best historians around.
Yeah.
He's going to tell you all about Star Mountain.
Oh.
And he's also going to talk about Mason Evans, which
The
was
hermit.
the hermit that lived up there in the cave and that big story. And he can answer all of our questions about history in McMinn County, Polk County, Bradley County. He knows all about the Dutch settlement. So start writing your questions down because it's going to be a fabulous show. And then on February 1st, we have another great historian coming back by popular demand. We have Mike Bell from Georgia coming in. He's the leading expert on racing in Georgia and a lot of stuff in Tennessee.
Wow.
And he's bringing with him, we think, Charlie Mincy. And Charlie's well into his 80s. He ran Moonshine from the time he was 14 to 19 and then took up racing because he said they didn't shoot at him when he was racing. And he's quite the character, too. And it's just...
He's in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Racing Hall of Fame.
He's one of those fellas that there's not many people around that can tell that story anymore. And so he's going to come on with Mike, and they're going to talk about racing and moonshining. And then February 8th, we've got our fingers crossed, and we hope P-Dab's health is back with him by then. And he and his aunt's going to come on and talk about growing up in Prospect and anything else they want to talk about. And I think we have a few more shows booked, but I'm not going to announce those today.
P-Dab will definitely he knows a lot.
Yes. And what he don't know, he makes up. He's sharp and quick, too. Really quick, you know.
Bless his heart. He came on our show. And before we went on the air, he was telling us that he was going to have surgery, and and it was just not going to be real good. And we, all three of us, were pretty not happy about the situation. And we came on the air, and Ron swings around and looks at him and says, "So, P-Dab, how'd you go to the bathroom in the country?" Which is not what we had intended to talk about. So for the next 2 hours,
there are three ways. You can go off the back porch,
sure,
or you can go down to the outhouse, or if you may not remember, chamber pots. You had this ceramic pot that you kept under the bed, and you just
I've seen them. I never used one, but
I actually used one. I thought it was so neat. Maybe at my grandmother's house, says, "Oh, I just can't wait to pee in that little pot." It just excited me.
He had such a limited childhood.
You go, but then we got into talking about what was the best thing to use to clean yourself if you didn't have toilet paper in the woods. And so someone called in,
goodness.
and she had read a blog about it, and smooth rocks were the best. Now, smooth rocks don't sound like they feel better, but seem like the rough rocks would get more. I don't know.
For 2 hours, we sat here and giggled about outhouses, and it was wonderful therapy.
People laughed all day.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, this is David Swafford.
Hey, David Swafford.
What do you say, David?
What's up, buddy?
I had an article I wanted to read for you.
Yes.
First, I wanted to ask Johnny if he had a sister named Tracy.
Yes, that is my sister, absolutely.
Okay, I used to ride the school bus with you in elementary school, and we lived on South Lee Highway.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lived over there by Bradley High School over Golf Drive growing up. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Tracy's doing well. She got a couple girls and, has a good little family. She's doing well.
Well, that's pretty neat. Now, here's this article. I was telling Ron about this. And it's very short, I promise.
Okay.
But it's dated September 24th, 1959.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bears, that was the same year Wild River was filmed, and they had went undefeated that year.
Right.
And it says Bradley High School's. Now they were going up to Nashville to play the Nashville Lytton High School.
Okay.
And they were heavily underdogs, I guess. The Bears were. And it says Bradley High School Bears punched across the last-minute touchdown to defeat powerful Nashville Lytton High School in football, 13-12. With 49 seconds on the clock, fullback Louis Alford crashed across the goal line from 1 yard out to tie the score 12-12. With 5,800 fans screaming hysterically, guard and place kicker Rex Dockery kicked the extra point for a storybook ending.
I have heard that story.
I didn't know Rex kicked.
Yeah, he was a place kicker. Sure was.
Wow.
Yes, he sure was. He sure was. That's neat that you have that article. That's fantastic.
That's the hard thing about doing research on a project. Like David's been looking for stuff for Wild River, but you get off on sidetracks when you see interesting stuff in the paper.
Oh, anything related to Bradley County though is exciting.
Yeah. Now here's one more thing, and if Louis Alford is still listening, he might know about this, but there's another article a couple of days later on the 26th that said 3 Nashville youth apparently angered by the outcome of the Bradley-Nashville Lytton football game were arrested after firing a hail of bullets into a car driven by 2 Cleveland youth. Neither of the boys were hit.
Wow.
But the rear window and front windshield were shattered. At least 1 bullet passed close to the passengers. 1 Nashville youth was 19 and 2 others were 17. The arresting officers found 3 shotguns and 2 pistols in the trunk of their vehicle.
Wow. I'll have to ask my dad about that. He may know about that. I've never heard that.
But anyway, I'll hang up. I just wanted to share that.
Thanks, Dave. We enjoyed our trip last week.
Before you go, what did you think about couches?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I couldn't believe they told me you'd never been to Couches and you've been here your whole life. Shoot, that's like a
blasphemy.
Yeah, everybody around here's been there.
Well, I'm glad that's off my bucket list.
There you go. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I tell you, David has done so much research on Wild River. There is nobody in the country, literally, that knows more about the movie Wild River than David Swafford. I mean, he really knows it. And
I loved his mom called in with it. We had a question the other day we couldn't answer, and his mom, along with several other folks, called in and answered it, and we just loved that she did.
Go ahead, call. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
How you doing, Ron?
Hey, Brett. How are you?
Good.
What do you say, Brett?
How you doing?
You know Johnny Moe?
Yeah.
I see Brett at Bradley High School every time I'm there.
Hey, I was going to say congratulations to Coach Ritter on the big win last night and Coach Clark on a big win last night.
Yeah, that's right. It was an exciting one. It was a great night for the Bears, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you were there, correct?
No, I was listening I was listening to to Corky and Gary on the radio last night at the game.
I can't believe you weren't there. You're
he
always
was down
there.
in his man cave.
I was there. I left right before it went into overtime.
Oh, okay.
So you never leave till a basketball game's over. Yeah. So you never know what's going to happen.
No, I was listening to it on the radio.
Oh, okay.
I thought you might have had to meet your girlfriend or something. I didn't know.
I was heading home from the game.
Okay.
Well, Brett is our roving reporter. He usually keeps us informed of what's going on for us.
Absolutely. I know. He knows what's happening.
That's true.
He does.
Hey, Ron.
Yes.
playing at 12 o'clock.
Tennessee plays at 12. All right.
Kentucky,
Kentucky. Yeah, well, that's always tough.
That's a big game.
Yeah.
12 noon.
12 noon. All right. We'll get done here just in time to see that, won't we?
Yeah, go Vols.
That's right.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Brett.
All right, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Debbie Riggs on here is talking about the violence over Nashville. Of course, this doesn't compare, but the much less dangerous was when the Bradley boys were upset by a loss and they threw rocks at the Confederate monument and knocked the bayonet off.
Wow. All right.
I said, we threw it at our own monument.
Go ahead, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yeah, hey, Debbie, Ron, Johnny. You know, for a different show, you might want Johnny Mull to talk about growing up in that neighborhood he did. I mean,
Who is this?
Let me just say, Johnny had the best hill to sled on beside his house. In that whole neighborhood. This is Lynn Moore.
Hey, Lynn. Absolutely. How you been, Lynn?
You know, there was a lot of notorious characters came out of that neighborhood.
You're exactly right, Lynn.
Other boys that came out of there.
Yes, that was a lot of fun times there.
Yeah, it's amazing what we got by with, and of course I've told stories now. You know, I'm a counselor at one of the middle schools up in McMinn County. Back then, it seems like every dad in the neighborhood could spank us if we did something wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they must have got together and signed a pact or something because they took liberty.
And no one complained about it.
Wait a minute. Now, what? As a Democrat, I'd say it takes a village to raise a family.
I think it's more it takes a village to raise an idiot. I know the guy that lived across from you, Mr. Firestone, he was always on us for doing things, but he did let us claim his yard.
Yes, he did. Alvin Firestone. Alvin and Dorothy, good people. Really good people. A lot of great people over there.
Oh, yeah. I swing by every now and then. It don't look the same, though, anymore.
No, it doesn't. It's a little depressing, actually, when I go by there now.
It is, because I always thought our parents kept it up real good. But okay, but like I said, I know you got some stories from people. You just have to, leave out the names because we're all in it.
I would do that, Lynn. I would trust that you would do the same.
So what people ought to do is about 9:30 on Saturday mornings, they ought to come sit in the studio from 9:30 to 10 to hear all the stories we don't tell on the air.
I bet. Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, bye-bye. See you, Lynn.
We're here on Old Town Cleveland listening to Johnny Mull tell about his family, Rex Dockery and Red Dockery and Pam, and the calls have been coming in, and we're just having a great time. And if you have a story, give us a call, like this caller. Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Could you tell me something, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you give me the address of that man that called in for help this morning?
No, I didn't write it down, honey.
Yeah, I didn't get it all.
He said Overhead Bridge Road.
Yeah, Overhead Bridge Road is where it is.
I didn't get it written down before he went on, so sorry. But hopefully he'll call in on Monday morning, and Lisa will.
We'll get that information.
We'll talk to him.
Thank you.
Sorry. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye-bye. And we also here, I want to mention that our good friend Fro Daddy, who does a show from here in the afternoons, Monday through Friday, will be playing tonight, or it says Friday, or Saturday at the American Legion.
At the bottom.
Oh,
Read at the bottom, Ron.
There are two. Thank you. He'll be playing American Legion tonight, and go up. That'll be Fro Daddy and his band, the Convertibles. So if you looking for some dancing and drinking and whatever, adult beverages, go to the American Legion tonight, and that's up off of Paul Huff. It's not over in town anymore. Right. It's on Paul Huff. I have to think about that.
Been there quite a while, Ron.
And if you've never been to the American Legion on Friday nights when they do their steak nights, they have a steak, and you go out there, and it's very reasonable, and get there, and it's long before the rest of the crowd comes in. The bands come in, and you can come in there early. And we haven't been in a while. Usually football season, I don't get to go.
Right.
And
understand.
But they have a salad bar and that. So if you've never been to there, something you ought to do.
A man who loves food should partake of that.
Yes, and great steak. So.
And I noticed that the stadium looks
Stadium
like
barbecue's gonna come back.
They're making a good progress on their building over there.
Thank goodness. I was just very saddened when that
Well,
happened.
I really hated it for them because they had worked so hard and they'd gotten on their feet and it was getting ready to go.
And they have a successful one going in Gatlinburg too, in Sevier County.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
As you go out towards where the high school is, and there's a big building out there, and it's a big sit-down type facility, a lot bigger than what they had here. It's doing pretty successful. But, we were pretty regulars up here. Now, the only thing that made me mad up there, was the fried pies. I couldn't eat them. They're just so. I had half of one time.
He had 3/4
I
of
had
one.
half.
We're having some discrepancies.
Yeah.
He said, "Let's share a pie," and it was hot, and I couldn't eat it. Well, he ate his half and half of my half.
Well, it's
and
fair
then I
game
had to
once we cut
defend
it in half
myself.
and you don't eat it. You know that's. But they had a banana pudding fried pie.
I know. I didn't try that.
I hadn't either, but everybody just went
We
crazy.
got the
We got cheesecake
fried
pie. Oh, that was good too.
And I thought this can't be good.
See, I've not had any desserts because by the time I eat, they're on. I mean, I'm a barbecue nut anyway, and it's just
I like the
fantastic.
barbecue.
I do too.
It's really good, and I got the one in the wrap.
Yeah.
With the,
and the best thing is they're closer to my house now that they've moved down this way a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's good. Good stuff.
So we're talking with Johnny Mull here. So give us a call at 614-5553 if you have a story on Johnny or Red or Rex or Pam. And I'm surprised Pam hadn't called in to defend herself.
You've tried
I've
one.
blasted her 2 or 3 times here today.
Nope,
And,
she's saying, nope, I'm not calling
She's
it.
out of politics and everything now. She don't want nothing to do with us anymore. That's what it is.
This little bit of
retired. What is she just happily retired?
Absolutely.
Well, good.
She enjoys being home and just kicking back, spend time with her grandkids and things of what she spends more time doing than anything else.
Well, that's
this little bit of controversy after the games and stuff kind of reminds me this racing documentary that we're doing. I found a great quote from a guy. I believe his name was T.C. Cannon. He'd said, "Well, we'd race a little while, and then we'd fight a little while." I thought that was so funny. We'd race a little while.
Oh yeah.
Well, we've got some unbelievable clips coming that we recorded people, and you're going to laugh some, and there's some going to bring a tear to your eye.
Yeah, that's good.
And then and of course, us living here in Cleveland, we know about whether you like dirt track or not, or the racing. Some people hate the racetrack or stuff like that, but it's pretty historical, and the people that went through there, and it's a culture of people who live there. I grew up next door to it.
Right.
So I grew up at the dirt track.
Well, the dirt track led to, what we have today is the NASCAR and everything else. That's where it came from.
Well,
and I remember, to me, since I grew up right beside Bradley High School, well, on the weekends, I mean, you could hear. We went to the races, but even from my house, I mean, you could hear them.
We live
I
right
live a half mile behind.
Yes.
Literally behind the
And
racetrack.
our theory has always been is that we knew it was there when we moved in, so we can't complain. And I think our only, not complaint, but concern has always been is that when they turn those folks loose at midnight when they're leaving there, they don't know that's a public road. And we just always make sure we went the other way.
It may be a thing of the past, and that's happening with dirt tracks all over.
Right.
And then that proving ground for the next area is going away, so it's going to hurt racing all over. If you're a racing fan, good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning. I've been listening, and nobody's called in with any Johnny Mull stories that make him look bad and tell the bad and awful things he's done in his life.
Well,
he's looking kind of concerned. Who is this?
It's your turn.
I don't have any of those stories either, but I'm going to keep listening because there's got to be some out there somewhere.
What?
Johnny is a fine young man and a great friend in high school and a friend to just about anybody. And you couldn't have a nicer fella on the show. And I know he comes from good stock, but he's taken advantage of that stock and lived right. And he's a fine young man, and we're lucky to have him in Cleveland.
Well, Johnny's sitting here looking, saying, "Who is that?"
I'm trying to pick up his voice.
You said it just as he paid you to say that.
He's a little tight, so I doubt he paid it.
Oh,
well, yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Well,
he might trade out a favor, but he's not going to pay anything. He's pretty tight.
Well, they do call him the energy Nazi here in Cleveland.
Johnny, you have a good day and enjoy the show. And I always enjoy listening to Hometown Cleveland. It's good to have one of my generation there. So we got a lot of living to do yet, Johnny, but just keep living right and doing the right thing.
Just want to point out to you
you.
two guys, since Johnny's on here now, he's history now.
Oh, I'm Old Town Cleveland.
Yeah.
All right, somebody call in with a bad story. I'd like to hear
All right,
bye-bye.
thanks. All this joke about the energy Nazi is Johnny's the one that came in several years ago at the school system and started teaching us how to save energy, and we always laugh about, did I leave my printer turned on? Because Johnny will come by and write you up for leaving your printer on. But I know that when you get thousands of printers left on, it makes a difference.
Now, what effect is the energy bill? I mean, this is a little off subject, but you've done this for 10 years now?
14 years.
14 years. Yes. What's the difference in the energy bill?
Well,
or can you tell?
Well, obviously it changed. I mean, we track it. You know,
Yeah.
we plug all the utility bills in or whatever, and you have to adjust for the price increases of utilities or whatever.
And weather changes.
Right, and you know we've added over 500,000 square foot since I've started.
Right.
You know, so all those changes. But even though we've added 500,000 square foot, and you know prices have gone up, we use less natural gas than we did back then.
Wow.
14 years ago. And in all our utilities, we use less per square foot than we did. It comes out to about, if everything was still the same size and things, we're about 30% different, which is about $1 million a year is what we avoided in money. In other words, if we were still doing what we did back then, and you know, I'm not going to say we left everything wide open, but there wasn't a concern for it more than anything else.
Well, I didn't know if you left something plugged up,
Right.
even if the appliance is off, that it still pulls a little bit of energy.
Right.
And so Johnny's taught us if you're not using it, unplug it.
Yeah,
you know,
there is.
and when the school building sits there over 2 weeks over Christmas, unplug everything, turn it all off.
And that's the main thing when
Turn
we
the lights
save
off
is
in
during
the-
the
in the-
unoccupied times when people aren't there. You know, and it's common sense. It is.
Well, I would have never thought about the soft drink machines or the ice cream dispensers or
right.
whatever, that those lights on the front of them really draw a lot of energy, and you just don't think about it when you just got one in your school building, but when you think about all the buildings, it all adds up to.
You changed the top bulbs you use in schools too?
Oh
is
yeah,
that-
we did. Yeah, we had a total retrofit of all our lighting. Went from T12 lighting, you know, fluorescent, to T8 lighting, which is much more efficient. And you know, at some point now we have LED lighting that will eventually replace all fluorescent lighting.
Mhm.
And in fact, most of all your major lighting companies are not spending any research money in lighting for fluorescent, you know, studies and research. It's all LED, so it'll be going to that. We're not going to make that transition yet, just simply because the price of LED bulbs are so much right now. You know, it's kind of like you remember the old huge VCRs when they
Mhm.
first came out, how expensive they were.
Right.
And then, you know, 7, 8, 10 years later, you get them a whole lot cheaper. And that's probably what we'll make that transition when that price comes down. But you just look for little things like that. We make sure our equipment, our HVAC, boilers or whatever are running properly and correctly. A lot of preventive maintenance things have done to
Well,
just...
$1 million saving in any school system is pretty impressive.
It is. It is.
Thanks, and that's good. And
So as we're building new buildings, are we making them more energy efficient?
Oh yeah, we're trying to do like Parkview, for example. It's a geothermal school, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we got grant money for that, and geothermal. Some of that sounds complicated, but really, if you think about it, you know, the piping where we run, you know, just like we would in another building. All the piping, though, the water that's pumped through the building is underground. So there's a constant temperature it's like insulation. It's kept at a certain temperature. So you don't have to, if it's 98 degrees.
You don't have to cool 98.
You don't have to cool 98. You know,
and you don't have to heat zero.
Absolutely.
To 55, exactly.
Absolutely. So
it is a great program. You know, it's a little bit more cost up
It
front,
is,
but if
it
you got a
is.
grant to pay for it, are you going to use any kind of solar or?
We've actually looking into some solar. In fact, there's a couple groups I'm looking into about a possible what do you call it, a trial project or whatever that we may do a school and see.
What about
see
wind farms and things, or small wind farms?
We haven't. There's not a whole lot of that in Tennessee. There's some, but you know, here it's kind of hard because of the mountains and stuff. And
They say
you
you only need 2 miles an hour to turn a big turbine.
Yeah, that's
so,
what
but
they say.
Great. Well, let's get back to talking about Rex. I just want to say
we call those rabbit trails.
That's right.
We jump off on a rabbit trail.
Well, you know, people want to speak about what Johnny's done. I just want to make sure everything that those genes have passed on pretty good, and we're glad of what you do. You got any really funny stories on Rex? I mean, anything that you something that just cracks you up, or that you can tell on the radio, or you got any funny stories on Pam that you can tell? That would be even better, I think.
Well, I have to go home and see Mom and Dad. And I don't know. I might ought to be a little careful. She will cook for me every now and then, so I want to make sure she continues to do that. But there's many stories about Rex, and I mean, there's childhood stories and different things. I remember there were several of us boys, and my sister was the only girl. So when Rex would come in, he'd like to play his games, hide and seek or whatever. Well, Tracy typically got left out, of stuff or whatever, and he wanted her to be a part. So he came with this game where he said, okay, you guys are going to go hide, as me and my cousins and Trey, his oldest son. He said, and Tracy and I are going to come find you. He said, now, you better hide good, because Tracy has a belt, and when she finds you, she gets to whip you with a belt. So Rex would help her find us and let her whip us with a belt, and he would just chuckle and laugh and think that was the funniest thing in the world. Lots of different things about Rex. Rex
believed in equality.
Yes, he did. And he was known for practical jokes and various stories where he played jokes on his friends. Steve Gibson.
I know Steve well.
Yes, that's his cousin, and Steve and Catherine were getting married, and they were in love and ready to go off on their honeymoon after the wedding, and Rex and some others kidnapped Catherine and held her hostage for 2 or 3 hours before they were let Steve have her back. So that's kind of some of the things that Rex was involved in and did, and he had a real slick way of making you behave. When I was in college, the first semester I did really well. I had like a 3.4 GPA, and basically I thought, well, I've got this, and my spring semester I kind of had a good time that semester, and studies were not my priority, and I wasn't doing very well. And instead of him, jumping on me about that, I get a call from the vice president's office. And I'm supposed to go see him. And it's concerning my grades. That secretary called, and I'm like, how in the world? I mean, there's 20,000 students here. How in the world they know about me? So I go into this guy's office, and it's dark. It's like a huge office, and, big desk, one little lamp on it. And big, huge man. He tells me to sit down in front of me, and he presumes to just rip me apart about my grades, and they're going to send me back to Cleveland. And if I don't, well, Rex had orchestrated that whole ordeal to get to me. I didn't know that until a couple years after the fact, and it worked. Absolutely, it worked.
Well, was it actually the dean, or did he bring him with?
No, it really was. It really was the dean. It was Mr. Smith. Gene Smith was the guy's name, Dr. Smith. But I remember Rex telling me when I was over there. He said, your family and stuff. He said, do not do anything to embarrass me, or I'll send your butt home in a heartbeat. And there's a lot of great stories. I mean, he was just fun. I mean, it was always.
Well, I liked when Louis said he would call the guys and pretend to be the girls' fathers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I could just imagine what they had going.
Mom and Dad have told me this. Mom and Dad dated all through high school, and they would break up occasionally. And if they did, if Mom was talking to some other guy, like at Sugar and Spice or somewhere like that, Rex would either call or find my dad and stir it up and say, Pam's cheating on you or talking to so-and-so. And Dad would come there, and there'd be a big brouhaha, but Rex would always stir the pot and try to get all that stuff going and exciting.
And he'd sit back over and watch, right?
Yes.
Just, the things brothers and sisters do to each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So were they very close? Or
extremely close.
You said just about less than 2 years apart.
Yes, right? Yes. They were very close. Always were. Like typically brothers and sisters, they may fight, argue about something or whatever, but nobody else better mess with their brother or sister.
That's true. Yeah.
But they did. They talked a lot. He called all the time, and she called him, and it may be 1 o'clock in the morning or something, but he was always.
Good. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Rodney.
Hey.
Hey, Jerry.
I couldn't let you guys go off here. I've known this family all my life, and of course think the world of all of them. Tamara and I first got married. We lived in an apartment upstairs over Bill, Pam, John, Tracy, and so I watched Johnny grow up and matriculate and do all the things he's accomplished in the school system and coaching. And of course, you've been talking about many of my friends today, but I can't let you go off without saying something about the fact that Johnny's about to be a candidate himself, and I know this is not a political forum, but his grandfather served us well, and mom served us well, and he's given the voters in this district opportunity, and so I wanted to mention that at least before his program ends.
Oh, good. Now, which district are you running in?
3rd District County Commission.
For County Commission. Okay,
Yes.
well, great. Well, that's good. Yeah,
Well, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that.
All right, I'll hang out and listen.
Did you have any good stories on Rex or Johnny or Red?
Well, you know, like I said, I've known him all along my life. Of course, John Red's such a class act. When I first started coaching at Bradley in 69, 70, he was really active with our booster club. People like he and Dick Ramsey, Cecil Beatty. If I started naming names, you know, Swift Chase. Those guys are just too many. There was, if anything we needed, they'd take care of, and then never have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Bill. I watched him. Bill's about 6 years older than me, I think, and I've always told people that being a Bradley fan, that the best team overall. Now, there are exceptions in various positions, but if you look top to bottom, that 59 football team was probably the strongest that I ever remember. And so that was all. Those are all good memories. And then, of course, I guess I hired Johnny when he got back.
Yes, absolutely.
I've got a great history. And of course, I heard a lot of funny stuff about Rex, but I was just a little tag along, you know.
Well, you've been very close to our family for years. I appreciate that.
All right, I'll let you guys go. Enjoy the show.
All right. Thank you, Jerry.
He's another one of our fellows. We can get him on here, and he can talk about most
anything. He brought him and his brother down, and Mike. And,
yes.
And they talked about growing up right down here on Ocoee, and they would take their cow up onto the Graveyard Hill there, and Hillcrest, and they take it up there, stake it out, and let it eat. And because everybody had a cow back when they were growing up behind their house, so they take it up and let it eat. Then they go night and bring it back down. I'm sure they had to milk it too somewhere along the way. So I never had to milk a cow.
No, I've never done that myself.
Now Deb's milked cows.
Oh, have you?
Well, playing around, but I grew up on a farm. I've done most everything.
Oh, okay.
I did get to feed the chickens and go grab their eggs before. Now I have done that and helped slaughter hogs down at my uncle's farm.
Oh. Well, I never. I was.
See the things you've missed.
Absolutely, I missed that. I missed the outhouses and things of that sort. I missed all that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my grandfather had one, but he had time I come around, they'd already put in an indoor. They added an addition. They didn't move it inside the house. Had an addition to the house, and the toilet was out there. Still, it was a outhouse, but it was an indoor outhouse. Now,
right,
with air conditioning and heating.
Wow.
Yeah, so. And we're not going to get into smooth rocks
or jagged rocks.
No. Good morning, you live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ron.
Hey.
I like to honor Rex today by doing this. So to the first person that calls in, I'll give them 2 free dinners at the Old Fort Restaurant, and I'll keep their name, and I'll get the pro day Monday and just honor him.
So next person that calls in just says Rex Dockery gets 2 free dinners for Bullet.
Yeah.
All right. Well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, that Bullet's something else, isn't he? He's a great guy.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And the best thing he does in his whole life is keeps my pool clean, which keeps me happy.
Yeah, definitely keeps Deb happy.
So the pool's your escape, is that right?
I told her when we put in the pool, I want nothing to do with it. I don't even enjoy swimming in it. I'm not an outdoor person. I'm light-skinned. I burn under the fluorescent lights. So I don't, and so I want nothing to do with it. And so Bullet cleans it, or because no, I'm not getting in there. So I've been lucky so far. Now you got a few more minutes if you want to call in and win a dinner from Bullet there in honor of Rex Dockery. That would be great if you do that. So 2 free dinners. And where do you say at?
Old Fort.
Yeah, that's a great place.
Wait, here's somebody calling. Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yes, I'd like to get those
dinners. Yay!
All
Who
right.
is this?
So y'all talk about Rex Dockery.
That's right. Who is this?
What's your name, sweetie?
Morrison.
Johnny Morrison.
Yes.
Okay, you call Fro Daddy Show Monday afternoon, and Bullet will have everything arranged for you.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for listening, Johnny.
Thanks.
And thanks to Bullet there,
Yeah.
A lot of people listen, and this is the type of show where a lot of people listen to learn a lot of things, and there's
Right.
people who call. We have some calls where everybody wants to talk, and sometimes people just want to sit and listen,
Right.
And they're both good
good
shows,
calls today.
and I learned a lot about Rex Dockery. A name I've always known. Never got to meet Rex either. Of course, knowing the rest of your family.
There are so many guys that played ball with him
Mm-hmm.
that was that age that we could do shows about.
Oh,
I mean, they
What are you
didn't
talking
quite
about?
go-
Hinkle and Harmon, and you're just talking about going across and Charlie Snyder
Ballinger.
and Ballingers and
Steve Sloan, Bob Johnson. I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
could go
I mean,
on
when
and
you
on
look
and
through
on.
those yearbooks, you think, my goodness, they were all there at one time.
was that Ron Rogers about that time, or he a little
Ron
earlier?
was a little earlier. He and
58?
Lawrence,
He was in the
50s. He
Yeah,
and Lawrence were in the
yeah.
50s.
They had good teams too.
They did.
Yeah,
They sure did.
That was two other Ron Rogers and another people in Lawrence on that booster club.
Now-
When I got involved in the booster club many years ago, there's Swifty and Ron Arnold,
Right.
and matter of fact, we honored all those one night. If you remember down at
Yeah,
Bradley,
I do.
and give them a big framed jersey.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I remember Jerry Frazier brought this up about when my granddad was involved in it when he came. But initially, it was called the Loyal Bears Club years ago. I didn't know that until I got into coaching.
I've
back
got
at
some
Bradley.
of the old stuff from the program books and
Is
the
that
Loyal
right?
Bears, and be involved in it. And think Earl Rowan put together a complete history of Bradley football, and the
Right.
winning and losing things. And I used to do the website, started the first website for Bradley football, and
I
had a
remember.
lot of history stuff on
Yes.
there. And someone else does it now. I've moved on to. I take care of wrestling now. I still do the wrestling one, but just amazing history there at football there, and of course the Rex Dockery Award. Who won it last year?
Last year was Bryce Copeland.
Bryce Copeland, pretty good.
That's another
Well
name in
deserved.
sports.
And that's one thing that since '84, obviously we've been doing it, and Rex was such a character guy. About not upstaging anybody and doing the right thing or whatever. And I can say for 30 years, obviously those are grown men today, and all of them have exemplified
They
what
sure have.
what that's about, and that just speaks volumes.
Well, Johnny, we're so glad that you
Well,
came in
before
today.
you go, though, we
This
talk
way-
about-
I'm not going yet.
Okay.
I'm just saying that this is a show that from the time we've started this show, we've talked about wanting to do a show about Rex and Red. And so we're so glad that you came in today to help us out with that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Obviously, I enjoy talking about Rex. It's an easy topic for me, talking
Yes,
about
it
Rex and my
is.
family.
And Ron's putting up now.
I want you to talk
this-
about the dedication, the original dedication of the Rex Dockery Field. That happened immediately about a year after his death for the next season. Tell us about that real quick, and still called Rex Dockery Field today,
It is.
right?
It's called Rex Dockery Field today. Yeah, they decided after after his death that they were going to do something to honor Rex, and named the Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium the field after him, and had a ceremony there where Wallene, Rex's wife, and the family were invited in, and did that, and had a big. The city of Memphis was involved in that, and a big plaque and a key to the city, and that whole type ordeal, which was it was great. It was that was a tough moment because
yeah.
It brings back all the memories.
It does. It brings back all the memories. But the city of Memphis has been very, very great to our family and things. And even the 30-year, this deal, they thought they should. And, the Commercial Appeal did a week-long series of stories on
I
on
seen
what
your
happened.
post on all those. I
Right.
read all those on Facebook.
So, it's a good time there. Some people may say things about Memphis or whatever, but I'll tell you, it's a good place. A lot of good people.
Oh, and rendezvous.
Yes, the Rendezvous Ribs.
There you go,
Yes,
rendezvous,
absolutely.
and then walk across the street into the Peabody to the dessert shop.
Hey, you're exactly
oh,
right.
Yeah, I've been there. Oh my goodness.
This is why Ron's been on a diet for 12 months.
Because I wasn't for like 50 years. Johnny, thank you so much for coming in today. And we talk about history here on Old Town Cleveland, different subjects every week, some funny, some sad, just something about our area here. And we encourage everyone every week to get the pictures from under the bed and out of the closet, out of the shoebox, label them, and share them. Make copies of them. If you want to come down here, Deb and I will help you make copies of them and share them with people. You'll never know what a picture of someone in your neighborhood, an old store, or they worked with your grandfather, they worked with your dad. Get your recorders out and record these stories, because it's not history until it's written down, folks. And we always say we'll always remember Pearl Harbor, but Deb says,
well, you remember Aunt Pearl.
You got to do that, folks. So write it all down in history. Next week, Deb, our show is
Joe Guy with Star Mountain and Mason Evans and anything else we have questions about. I'm starting my list because he can answer the questions.
The Star Mountain, and if you haven't heard the story about the hermit of Mason Evans, there's a story written, a book written about it. And he was a hermit.
And Joe writes lots of books. If you haven't picked one of those up, it's a real easy history read.
He basically, Mason Evans was going to marry a young girl there in McMinn County.
Yeah.
And her dad says, I'll give you all this money if you won't marry him. So she took the money. And the story is Mason went up on the mountain and lived the rest of his life in a cave.
Wow.
So
what a story.
We'll find out if that's true or just
a myth.
Origin.
See y'all next
folk
week.
Legend.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next week, folks. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
You need money overnight? Check into cash. Your time is tight. .com. Bank account's too low? Check into cash. So where do you go? .com. Do it online in a record time. It's the easy way to get